Chapter 18. Moksha-Sanyasa Yoga. Liberation through knowing, acting, and loving. Arjuna asked, "Dear Krishna, what is the difference between sannyasa and tyaga?" Lord Krishna replied, "The relinquishment of actions prompted by desire, the sages understand as sannyasa. The relinquishment of the fruits of all action, the wise declare to be tyaga. Both terms, sannyasa and tyaga, mean renunciation. Renunciation is not a negative process, but rather the positive act of giving up. There are examples of this in nature: the sun giving up its heat and light, the clouds giving up its life-giving rain, and grandest of all, the individual soul abandoning worldly entanglements to join me, the divine. While some sages say that all action should be given up, since they all have a tinge of the impure in them, know that acts of sacrifice, purification, and charity should never be given up, for they purify the aspiring soul. Purification is essential for moving Godward, which is the ultimate goal of life. Those who through ignorance do not perform these three highest actions are tamasic. To avoid these sacred duties out of fear or aversion to physical discomfort is rajasic. No spiritual benefit will accrue to that person. But when one engages in these activities for duty's sake alone, without attachment, with no desire for any reward, then the action is sattvic. Calmness and purity are born of this attitude. Sattvic people, not plagued by doubt, and aware of the true self, Atma within, do not shrink from action because it brings pain, nor do they desire it because it brings pleasure. It is impossible for a human being to be a full renunciate, to give up all action, but the person who detaches from the fruits of action can be regarded as a true renunciate. True renunciation is giving up all desire for personal reward. Those still attached who do things for selfish purposes will reap their rewards in due season, either here or hereafter. Their accrued karma can be bad, good, or mixed, depending on their action. Being hurled into darkness to be reborn as a beast is an example of a reward for evil action. Being born as a celestial being in heaven is an example of a reward for good action. Being born as a human is a mixed reward. But those who have renounced desire and attachment reap no consequences whatsoever of their actions in this world or the next. Now, Arjuna, I will explain the 5 factors that contribute to every action. 1. The body. There can be no action without it. 2. The doer of the action. 3. The various senses. 4. The effort, the emotional energy involved in the doing. And 5. The presiding deity manipulating all these instruments, including the unseen destiny, the effect of past and present karma, prarabdha. These 5 factors are involved in all human activity, whether in action of thought, word, or deed, and whether the action is right, dharmic, or wrong, adharmic. People commonly believe that the self, Atma, is the doer of action. But Atma has nothing to do with any of the 5 factors of action. The Atma performs no acts, no work at all, is eternal and pure, wholly unattached to the world of matter, prakriti, where all action takes place. The sense of doership belongs to the ego, the mistaken sense rooted in the mind that you are an entity separate from Atma. Spiritually involved people understand the true self within. To them, worldly activities, such as in your case, killing or being killed, are modifications of prakriti, the realm of nature. Nature is really the doer of all actions. As they are firmly aware of this, yogis rise above the turmoil and bondage of karma. Now, Arjuna, I will explain how the forces of nature, the gunas, interact with the 3 elements of action. 1. Knowledge. 2. Action. And 3. The doer. This interaction creates 3 types of knowledge, 3 types of action, and 3 types of doers. The person of sattvic knowledge knows the divinity of the self, sees divinity in all beings, knows the oneness of all creatures in the universe, and sees none of the separateness that others see. The person of rajasic knowledge perceives separateness everywhere and sees each individual as distinct from all others. He or she believes that there are as many separate souls as there are bodies. The person of tamasic knowledge has in reality no knowledge at all, only ignorance. This person believes the loss of the body means the loss of everything. There is no subtlety of reason. Now consider the three kinds of action. Sattvic actions are in alignment with the scriptures and performed without attachment. These actions are done for duty's sake alone, not for pleasure or personal reward. There is no drudgery in sattvic work. Work, action, is rajasic when goaded by desire for the fruits of that action. Rajasic work entangles one in self-indulgent pursuits and requires large amounts of egoistic effort. This type of action hinders spiritual growth and yields sorrow. Actions are tamasic when undertaken blindly, without thinking or considering consequences. No thought is given to the merit of doing the action, and the doer has no notion of their capacity to accomplish it. Consider now the three types of doers. Sattvic doers see it all as work of the divine, and see themselves as but instruments of divinity. Thus, completely egoless, these doers are free of desire and attachment. They are ardent about the work to be done, and yet unaffected by success or failure. Rajasic doers are driven by desire for personal gain. They are greedy and destructive to the point of cruelty, and joyous or despondent depending on the success or failure of their acts. Tamasic doers are inattentive, unconcerned, lethargic and lazy. Indolence and procrastination are their main features, along with deceitfulness, maliciousness, and dishonesty. Also consider, from the perspective of the gunas, two additional qualities: intellect and firmness of mind. Intellect refers to the faculty of discrimination, buddhi. Firmness of mind, dhati, refers to the strength of conviction and courage on the spiritual path. Listen now as I describe the levels of intellect and then the levels of firmness. Sattvic intellect, buddhi, discriminates between truth and non-truth, real and not real. It knows the difference between action, karma, and inaction, karma, and knows what helps or hinders spiritual progress. The sattvic intellect leads one Godward. The rajasic intellect also discriminates, but wrongly. It has a distorted understanding of right and wrong, rationalizing that the ends justify the means, no matter how selfish or hurtful. Greed, passion, anger, and fear cloud its vision. It stays mired in base, worldly life instead of guiding one upward. The tamasic intellect, wrapped in ignorance and enveloped in darkness, simply cannot discriminate. Goodness appears bad, while evil seems good. It understands life in a perverted way. The tamas-dominated intellect drags one ever downward. Now consider the 3 degrees of firmness of mind, dhati. Sattvic firmness is an absolute unwavering devotion to the divine, a deeply profound resolve to move toward and merge in God. Rajasic firmness of mind is similarly resolute, but holds fast to the desires for pomp, power, property, and prestige, or even to the attachment of virtuous living. If turned Godward, this resolve could lift you towards the Supreme, but directed towards worldly enjoyment, it condemns you to repeated lifetimes of turmoil and pain. Tamasic firmness is born of ignorance, lack of purpose, and lack of fortitude. In the absence of discrimination or understanding, the only resolve in tamas is to eat, drink, and sleep away one's time. We can also understand happiness in terms of the 3 gunas. Many people search for happiness in life, but few find it. The true happiness I speak of here comes only after long, dedicated practice. Those who achieve this happiness end all sorrow in life. Listen, Arjuna, to the 3 classifications of happiness. Sattvic happiness is the serenity of mind that meditation brings, the sweet joy that comes with self-realization. Like all things good, it is hard work at the beginning, but sheer joy later. That is, bitter poison at first, but sweet nectar in the end. You find this joy inside through abhyasa, steady practice. Rajasic happiness is just the opposite. Nectar at first, but poison in the end. It is temporary pleasure obtained from the contact of your senses with objects in the world. Give in to this happiness, and you invite the pain that always accompanies it. Tamasic happiness is a non-comprehending sleep-like existence, bitter at both the beginning and the end. The only pleasure in this existence is the meager satisfaction of sleep, or the perverse enjoyment that comes with idle pursuits or neglect of duty. There is nothing, anywhere on earth or in the higher worlds, which is free from the three gunas, for they are born of nature, Prakriti. Even Brahma, not Brahman, Brahma, the creator, is not truly liberated, because his action of creating takes place through the guna material of nature, which connects him to nature. So, from Brahma on down to a blade of grass, all living things are connected with Prakriti. Prescribed duties in society. Arjuna, I have mentioned the importance of doing one's duty. Now I will describe the nature of prescribed duties. The responsibilities of people in the various segments of society can be divided into four general headings: seers, leaders, providers, and servers. No particular group of people is superior to any other, but like limbs of the body, each has a respective role to play and function together for the harmonious working of society. These groupings are generally consistent with the conditioning of the individual's dominant guna, whether that conditioning is from this lifetime or previous lifetimes. Society's seers are the holy ones, in some societies referred to as Brahmins. Seers establish the moral character and spiritual underpinning of society. Their duties are generally of pure unmixed sattva, and are therefore congenial to a person of sattvic nature. The primary purpose of seers is to help transform society's exemplary human beings into godly beings. The primary purpose of society's leaders, referred to as Kshatriyas, is to help transform ordinary human beings into exemplary human beings. They are expected to guard the welfare and prosperity of society by serving the people. They must lead by inspiring people through a good example, and yet be ready to enforce their authority. Society's providers and servers are, respectively, the business people, referred to as Vaishyas, and the workers, referred to as Shudras. The combined responsibilities of these two groupings are to prepare, supply, and equip society with the goods and services it needs. Providers are charged with the activities of economics and commerce, such as growing food. Servers are foundation. They provide the strength and sinew of society. Although there are different expectations of the four groups, remember that the practices conducive to spiritual growth are within the competencies of all people in all groupings of society. Achieving the Godhead. All humanity is born for ultimately achieving perfection. Through being devoted to one's duties, each person will find this perfection. The person who bores his or her duty will never become fulfilled. Through doing work selflessly, with no attachment to the outcome, and doing it as an act of devotion to the divine, you attain fulfillment and spiritual perfection. Convert your earthly existence into worship. The one who does this is truly a yogi. Your nature dictates that you perform the duties attuned to your disposition. Those duties are your dharma, your natural calling. One should not abandon one's duties, even though they may seem tainted. True yogis perform their duties faithfully as acts of devotion to the divine, and thus free themselves of any contamination. Achieving perfection. Arjuna, I will now briefly profile the qualities that make the loving yogi one with me, Brahman, the Godhead. There is no higher achievement in life. Free your mind and heart of delusion. Be self-restrained. Give up the ego. Subdue your senses through steady will. Put aside the likes and dislikes so burdensome in life. Seek solitude. Eat but little. Lead a simple, self-reliant life, curbing your thoughts, speech, and actions. Be detached, impersonal. Engage your mind always in concentration, contemplation, and meditation on the Godhead. Cast from yourself all egotism, violence, arrogance, desire, anger, and attachment. Turn your back on luxuries and property. Possess very little, and shed any sense of mind. Be calm, at peace with yourself and all others. Thus united with me, tranquil of mind and heart, neither craving nor grieving anything or anyone, accept all people equally and serve me, divinity, in every living creature. Love me most dearly. Do not renounce action itself, but only the sense of doership. Thus, when engaging in worldly actions, be but an instrument of the divine. Mentally cast every thought and act onto me. I know, Arjuna, that you are a good devotee and beloved friend, but if you in your egoism do not heed my words, you are lost. If in your vanity you think, I will not fight, that misguided resolve will be in vain, for your own nature will drive you to do it. You can do no greater harm than to fail to follow your inner truth. You have been nurtured in the duties of a warrior leader. Your aptitude, disposition, and temperament are such that you must oppose wrongdoing in the world. Following one's nature is the only way to work out one's karma. Seek refuge only in the divine, beloved friend. Always remember the illustrious truth that you have neither existence nor individuality independent of God. Attune your whole life to this truth. Those who do not come fully to me continue to bring agitation and a stressful life upon themselves. I have now taught you the secret of secrets. Reflect upon this fully, Arjuna. Inquire deeply into these teachings, and then act as you choose. Now only listen once more to this most profound secret, the highest of all truths. I tell you this for your everlasting benefit, because you are so very dear to me. Fix your mind on me, give me your whole heart, revere me always and bow before me only. Make me your very own. By these acts you shall discover me and come to me. This divine love is both the means for reaching me and the ultimate goal of all human existence. Taking refuge in me means that you give up the idea that you are the doer. Then it is as though all your acts are performed by divinity itself, for its sake alone, with no concern about whether the acts are dharmic or adharmic. When you are acting as God, for God, it is impossible to do something adharmic. Our impromptu seminar on the principles governing humanity's spiritual development has come to an end, dear warrior. You must not tell the sacred truth to anyone who is not devoted, nor to anyone who speaks ill of me, nor to anyone who does not care to listen. But those who love me and teach these profound secrets to those who are already listening will definitely come to me. No one renders a higher service to me than this, and no one on earth is dearer to me. Those who, although not given to teaching others, study the sacred dialogue, are also directly revering me. And even those who simply listen to these words, with faith and acceptance, are liberated from the misfortunes of life and attain the happier worlds. You have been attentive, Arjuna, but have you grasped and understood this teaching? What now of your delusions and ignorance? Arjuna replied, My Lord, my delusion has fled. By your grace, the light has dawned. My doubts are gone, and I stand before you, ready to do your will. Thank you for watching so far. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new here, please subscribe. This will ensure that more people can find this resource. Click the notification button so that you can be the first to know about new uploads. And please do comment below. I'll do my best to reply to any questions. Thank you.